Welcome to the show that looks at truth, fiction, and reality with a smirk. I'm Aaron Peterson.
I'm Amanda Sink.
And I'm Zach Parkerson.
And welcome to Smirk. Each week, one of our hosts introduces an original story, which we then use as a springboard for a spirited, lighthearted discussion on whatever the moral or theme of their story is. This week, it's Amanda's turn.
Why are you a robot?
Did I say something robotic?
You sounded like a robot.
Hello, Amanda. Welcome to Smirk.
That sounds
right. That was a British robot.
Wasn't a very good one.
If I were to get a robot, I would want it to be British.
Absolutely.
What's the point of an American robot? That's all. I just don't understand.
There isn't one.
Thank you.
They're all that way. We're all programmed to follow the man.
Okay. You and watch
Wake up, sheeple.
Sheeple. Sheeple always makes me laugh. I don't know why. It just does.
It's because it's a ridiculous word, and some people use it very seriously.
I think it's very funny. I couldn't hear if I was getting a lecture from someone and they threw in sheeple, I would just giggle.
Well, their name is probably Alex Jones.
Fair enough. Oh, all right, Amanda. Well, are you ready to tell us your story? What is it?
For the second time, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're re-recording this episode.
So one of you two has already heard a portion of my story.
Is your story broken? Is that why we re-recorded it?
Yeah. It's destroyed.
I'm sorry.
Like my soul.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention the first time anyway, so this will be okay.
Great! Pay attention this time.
What?
It's like a whole new story.
What?
What? Let's do that for 5 minutes.
All right. Denny acknowledges that he doesn't fit in with society like most others eventually do. He's also incredibly brilliant, so brilliant that it scares others. Whenever there has been a problem, he would solve it before anyone else had the opportunity to come up with alternative suggestions. He has always been in the work of giving to others and helping them in any capacity. He actually works as a cancer research scientist. He's made a couple of really great friends in his adult life, and his closest friend, Paul, is a gym rat and party boy, yuck, but has an endless amount of empathy and compassion. Their mutual kindness seems to be the biggest tie in Denny and Paul's friendship. One day they were sitting across from each other having a drink at the bar when they started to get into a deep and philosophical conversation. They talked about all matters, including morality and violence issues in society, and happier topics like the exquisite beauty of nature. Paul would say something like how lovely it was to take a walk on this dirt trail at a local forest preserve, or how lovely the weather was for the day. He kept using this word lovely, as if he was learning it for the first time. And although he had no negative intentions, every time he said the word, Denny seemed to get upset. Paul kept noticing the emotions changing, and he had no idea why. So being the empathetic friend that Paul is, he asked Denny if everything was okay and what was going on. Denny responded with complete confusion and had no idea what Paul was referring to, only moments after his mood changed. This is pretty weird. Paul changes the subject and asks Denny how his research is going. It's a very noble career to spend your life looking for ways to continue others' lives. Denny responds that he's starting to find success and has a concept on how to restructure the cells in the body to alleviate cancer. Paul responds with his weird use of lovely again, and this sets Denny off for the final time. Without a moment's hesitation, Denny reaches across the table, grabs Paul by the neck, and continues to strangle him until 4 other patrons in the bar pull him off. Everyone around said that he didn't even appear angry afterwards. It's almost like he just snapped, and when it was over, he was immediately checking on Paul to see if he was okay. Paul was frantic at this point because his best friend just tried to kill him for using the word lovely. So Denny decided to go to his doctor to try to figure out what happened. The doctor specializes in artificial intelligence robotics. They tell him that he was programmed incorrectly and he had a trigger from the word lovely. This trigger incited rage and violence in him without him even realizing it. He wasn't cognizant at all of his actions during the time and certainly didn't recognize after the fact. With this realization, he is finally able to come to terms with why he never feels like he fits in with society. His doctor tells him that with his actions, he will need to be taken down and recycled for parts. Because of the safety concern, he won't have any time to say goodbye to anyone, including Paul. He sighs, but understands he's just materials, and accepts his fate. This is his automaton Cessation.
So he's a robot.
He's a robot.
Oh!
Wow.
That's why in the story you only hear that in his adult life.
Oh, so he's a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Mind blown.
Yeah, it's not that big of a twist of
It's
story,
a small,
but thank you.
It's a small mind.
I mean, it was a good twist.
I like the twist. I didn't see that coming.
Watched a lot of Westworld lately.
I sure have. That's actually what prompted it, was thinking about some of the realities behind Westworld.
Spoiler alert, I don't know if it's truth or fiction yet. Okay? There's people bots.
That doesn't mean that this isn't a true story. It just means it prompted me to research the subject a little more.
Oh.
There could be robots in Switzerland. I don't know.
There probably are.
I was just guessing. If there was a country that had robots, obviously it would be Switzerland.
Yeah, they
Clearly.
have robots and watches. That's it.
That's them.
And I was going to say Skarsgårds, but that's not Switzerland. Never mind.
So what do you think that the moral of this story is?
Triggered!
Is that your answer for everything?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much right on the nose, a triggered story. So I would say that
You've been triggered by it.
Yeah, I have been triggered by anything can be triggered with the right programming / upbringing. That's my guess.
Sure. Zach, what do you think?
You really like BioShock?
Negative.
Nobody plays video games around here.
Man, I saw it on a shelf that I walked by and kept walking.
It's $3.99. It was too much. Something about the nature of being alive.
So the moral of this story is...
The violent delights have violent ends.
Oh, that's like way cooler. Oh, man. Why isn't that the moral?
I don't know. You wrote it. You could have. If you're going to steal it all the way.
Can I steal your moral?
No. That's from a TV show.
Can I steal Westworld's moral?
No. You have to come up with your own.
Anthony Hopkins is the moral of the story.
Right?
Just a name. That's the moral.
Anthony Hopkins.
Everybody should be like
what
Anthony
a delight.
Hopkins.
The moral of the story is artificial intelligence robotics in its most humane capacity is still not deemed as being treated humanely.
Well, as long as it was catchy.
You're saying we'd be cruel to robots too?
I feel like we kind of already have a negative mentality of them. In this story, you have to consider that the robot is a fully functional human that has their own feelings because they obviously care about Paul. When he was injured due to Denny, he realized and he had that empathy. Are you okay? I'm so concerned about you. He realized he had his own self-awareness to go to the doctor to get checked. It's not like he lacked that.
That sounds like an abusive partner.
Well, I mean, they're friends.
Serious. I mean, starts choking me after a couple triggers. Guess what? That's an abusive partner. Time to break up.
Right.
Well, it wasn't his fault, though. It was a fault of programming. Lord lovely.
And he doesn't recognize
kind of like
it.
upbringing.
Well, I feel like that's different.
Okay.
But why do you feel...
Yeah.
Why do you feel like... I mean, elaborate on that a little bit, just out of curiosity. Why do you feel like it would be the same as an upbringing?
Programming to me is the same as upbringing. I mean, it doesn't excuse it. It's a flaw in the system, but it doesn't excuse the behavior. And if it's a robot, if it's a person, if it's a dog, whatever it is, it might have been raised to be an abusive or an attacker, but it's still attacked. So it has to be dealt with in whatever reasonable actions apply.
So
the old explains the behavior, doesn't excuse it outlook.
Exactly.
But since this robot decided to take on their own accord to go to the doctor and say, hey, something's not right with me, help me figure out what's going on, at that point, they're not even given an opportunity to be reprogrammed, whereas humans are.
If someone were to kill someone or attempt to kill someone, as this would be seen as possibly attempted murder or assault at the very least, and they went to a doctor or they went to a professional and confessed to this action, or they talked to some public official about this action, they would then probably be arrested and have to atone for that, correct?
But he's being
difference.
recycled for parts, which means he's done. His life is over.
Because he's not human and he's just a machine. And contrary to what...
So that's actually what I kind of want to talk about is because if they're programmed and I understand that not every robot that's in actual existence actually has this capacity, but imagine that if they're programmed with humanistic traits and emotions, do you think we have a moral obligation to treat them as if they're humans?
It's a very hot button topic in sci-fi right now.
Have at it, Zach. I'd like to hear your thought on that. Meanwhile, that's like code for I don't have one yet.
I think if we get to the point where we decide that we should play God, then we must act as a God. If we are so choosing to create life, then we have to treat it as such. If you're creating artificial intelligence to such a degree that it acts like human, operates like a human, then you have an obligation to take care of it as a human, not as a machine.
Wow.
I'm with you.
Freaking deep.
That was good.
Dude.
Look at you, Zach.
It's like an ocean of thought there.
This is what happens when therapy continues.
Well, this is my secret therapy show still.
We're really proud of you for the progress you've made. I just want you to know that we're proud of you.
I thought it was a really cool thought. I don't know what the hell she's talking about, but I just thought it was really smart.
It is, yeah.
I will, I was going to go a different way, but...
Well, let's hear it.
That's a solid argument. Well, I still see it as it's a machine. I mean, but he has a good argument. Zach has a really good argument that if we're going to play the part of God, we have to accept the things that we're allowing to play that role. So if we're going to make them to feel, seem, act, look human, then we should probably treat them as human. Maybe it's not the right call to automatically bust them down to parts. Just like anybody else, give them a tune-up.
Yeah, I think it's a different question of whether or not we should ever do that. But I think in this story, we got to that point. So I think that, the obligation is there.
Because obviously it sounds like at least Aaron has had some concerns maybe with artificial intelligence.
Maximum Overdrive really taught me that I can't trust machines ever.
Terminator. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cautionary tales out there.
The original Westworld. There's a lot. Basically, all those are safety videos. So much like
training videos.
When you go to work and they tell you, here's where you don't touch them in the bad place. Don't say the bad word. That's what Terminator was. That was like, don't give them too much because they will go back in time and kill you.
And also Minority Report, which is one of my favorite robot-ish artificial intelligence.
There's no robots in a Minority.
Where are the robots at? What are you talking about?
There's artificial intelligence, like systems, like they're predicting behavior in the future. That's artificial intelligence.
They had psychic power.
Yeah, that was psychics. That wasn't robots.
I thought it was artificial intelligence.
You watched the wrong movie.
Oh.
They're triplets.
This whole time, I thought I liked a Tom Cruise movie.
Well, you still can.
Well, you didn't watch it.
Like most Tom Cruise movies, it's great.
Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow maybe would be more in line with what you're thinking. Or just go to iRobot, because that makes more sense.
There you go.
Was that the one I was thinking of then, maybe?
How the hell would I know what you're thinking of?
Sonny committed a homicide. Asimov's 3 Laws, all that stuff.
Let's move on.
That's a way better reference. And you're probably praying we cut this out. We're just not going to.
I know you're not going to. Because you're Aaron. You would cut it out if it was yours.
Yeah, that's how this works.
Well, he's the editor. That's what happens.
How do you feel about me editing this episode for you?
Nope. Bad idea.
It's in Google Drive. I'll do it for you.
Bad idea. I'll let the robot do it.
Yeah, I am a robot. I.e. robot.
Great iRobot impression.
So
you sound just like Alan Tudyk.
Spot on.
What do you guys think is your biggest concern with artificial intelligence? Like, what do you fear the most coming out of getting to this level of AI?
There's always my biggest one is if we were to ever create an AI, artificial intelligence that was designed to say like protect humanity, and it would come to the logical conclusion that the only way to protect humanity would be to wipe most of it out, so that we have less disagreements and things to fight over.
Yeah.
No, I just think that's where the predictive algorithm would inevitably lead.
I couldn't say I blame them.
Right. Yeah.
As people, I'm like, somebody push the button. I get it. I mean,
the cold logical decision is if there were less of us, we'd have less to fight about.
Well, doesn't Thanos have that same idea? And
yeah.
My answer to that would be actually it's twofold. I'm petrified of two things. One is similar to what Zach said. Any AI, if it's truly going to be adaptive to the world at large, is going to see it as some kind of annihilation is a better solution than just going without, because there's too many people, there's not enough food. Eventually we're going to have to thin out in some way. Nature will probably run its course, going to be like Jeff Goldblum. Nature finds a way, but AI will find a quicker way. That's my concern. But another one, my more immediate concern, because I see that one as a little further off, is our own laziness. I really see people using, I mean, you see it now, people not being active, not doing things. They're letting technology determine and do everything for them. People don't even buy groceries anymore. Groceries comes to their door. You know, they don't do anything. They just sit at home and everything's on their computer. And you talk to them and their face is always on the phone. My concern is a lack of social skills, a lack of adaptability, a lack of survival instincts. There's so many things that I think can go away with an over-reliance on AI and technology.
I'm with you. Yeah, I think that's the social disconnection in general is a huge fear. But I also worry about...
That's a reality. That one's already a reality.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But furthering it, I think it would only get progressively worse, depending on how it's handled and how it's utilized. But I also worry about the actual AI being developed, because when you're incorporating humanistic traits, who's choosing those traits? And who's choosing the thought processes and the thought responses to questions or to scenarios? Like, there is an implicit bias then in that AI that humans have their own ideas from their brain based off of their experiences and their knowledge and their environment. But AI would only have what's programmed into them. So if that gets in the wrong hands, or if you have somebody who, I mean, there's just going to be disagreements.
Which it inevitably would.
Right.
Somebody with a little penchant for the macabre is going to get their hand on something at some point.
I mean, unless the robot is 100% neutral on every single topic.
That's a lame robot.
But, I mean, when you're having something that's that humanistic, is it even feasible for you to have something that is that neutral? Because if you're trying to develop it with emotions, it will eventually feel and alter its own thought processes. And where does it go from there? But that's also humanity. So, I don't know. That's just scary to me to think about.
That was well thought out as well.
I'm currently watching the second season of What Happens.
Yeah, it's terrifying, right?
Yeah.
Which park are we in?
Which park are we in? I don't know what's going on.
How do we get to the maze? So, in general, I guess I just kind of, because we've had a lot of different discussion points for the pros and the cons, it seems like, of having AI. What do you...
Well, you know what? We didn't really talk about what the pros are. What are the pros of the advanced AI? We didn't really talk about that. None?
No, I think there's a certain point where, you know what, going back to Jeff Goldblum, they were so wrapped up in whether or not they could, they never stopped to ask whether or not they should. I think that's happening with AI and robotics right now.
An excellent quote.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum's a man. But
on the same token, I do like having my groceries delivered.
Sure, yeah. Well, you're using smart applications, right? Like Siri's fine. I think Alexa's fine. I hope I just activated somebody's Amazon Echo right now. And but once you get too far, once it starts being able to properly articulate human speech or something like that, it starts to get worrisome. Like, who doesn't get worried when they watch Boston Dynamics robot videos where they're adapting to like tripping and they pick themselves up or something? You're creating a predator.
That's true. They're going to adapt to survive.
Yeah, and it's just, why? Just to prove we can?
Yeah. That's exactly why people do everything. Because they want to, the first guy to get there is going to be seen as a genius, is going to be revered. And that's why so many are trying to be the first one to get there, where they have real AI.
Money.
And, do you think Oppenheimer revered his discovery? Doesn't
everybody at some point when they
the Manhattan Project? I think everyone there kind of regretted what happened. It just
true.
You know,
some people are pretty comfortable with just having their name out there, though.
Do you see a pro, Amanda, to having AI?
I mean, I feel like there can be plenty of benefits. Like, we're already in a state in the world where there are a lot of single parents who can't raise their kids. This could be like a robotic nanny that helps take care of the kids and could send like automated videos or something to the parents. That way they have like a live feed or something, so they can always make sure their kid's okay. But like an actual being.
I hope that kid doesn't say lovely.
I was going to say, the LFP is not going to help when it's choking the kid out.
Right. I probably shouldn't have given this story. I'm just going to freak people out more. I feel like there are always positives to technology advancing. I think we've seen a lot of those in our own lifestyles. Whether how we interact with that is our own choice as a society, but that doesn't make the technology innately bad. It's just how we utilize it that can make it seen as bad. Like when we have all of this technology for us, we're getting countries, like third world countries, getting them what they need and getting them the communication with other countries and helping grow those communities and getting them electricity that they probably never would have had before all of these advancements. So there are a lot of positives to technology, but where do we draw the line? And at what point do you say, this is just no longer necessary? Like, do the cons outweigh the pros?
We draw the line. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
you go ahead.
Somebody go ahead.
You had a thought. Go ahead.
Instead of spending billions on artificial intelligence research and robotics research, why don't we just build some electrical grids in those third world countries?
Or solar grids.
Solar grids, some plumbing.
Well, and I'm all about solar technology. I mean, I don't see why we can't invest in solar. Produces more jobs then, but we're going to get on a different topic.
Can we, before we stop, can we actually get a real Westworld theme park? Because that looks awesome, and I would love to visit.
You just want to bang Evan Rachel Wood.
Is that going to be part of the thrill ride? Because
that's a ride he wants to be on.
I'll board that train.
Yeah. Was it $40K a day? What's that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it'll be cheaper, right? You know, that's probably Canadian.
It's not that much different.
So what else? What was your final question before I cut you off? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Overall, what do you guys think? I mean, I know I haven't given you guys a ton of pros for it, but I feel like we can each find the advancements of technology being good. But when it comes to specifically advanced artificial intelligence robots that are human, esque.
Humanoid.
Yeah. Do you feel like them being used as everyday humans in the real world is beneficial to us? What do you think of it in general? Are you against it at this point? Has your mind shifted at all from the beginning of the conversation?
Well, technology it's nice, it makes life easier, but I feel like we don't really need to advance anymore. Hashtag first world problems, right? All of our lives are so easy that we make fun of how easy it is. Do we need to increase the predictive algorithms of Siri more so to know that, well, on Tuesday at around 6, this guy's going to be craving pizza, so let me just get it to him right away. I don't think we need that.
I think I need that.
Oh, that's the problem. I can see advantages to it. I can see, you brought up nannies. Childcare is definitely one. It's hard, in this day and age, you can't be a single working parent. You have to be like a 2-parent income. You have to be a 2-person income because daycare is so expensive. If you had a robotic option that was reliable, wouldn't choke your kids out, I think that would probably be very helpful. On the same token, there are a lot of people that obviously are struggling to find that special someone. That's why social dating apps are so huge. Tinder and Sex It Up. I don't know what they're called.
You talk about sex robot?
Yeah. And maybe not a sex robot, but a love robot. A companion.
A roommate.
Not like Firefly though, but like a robot companion where they would be able to converse and you would have a friend. You would have, it's somebody that would be programmed to your specific requirements. Everybody's always looking for people that have the same interests. If you could just buy one, that'd make life a little easier.
More social disconnection. But on another,
I didn't say that was a good thing.
But is a social disconnection, right? Because if he's saying what he's saying, then that AI sounds like it's adapting and it sounds like it's becoming more and more sentient in that scenario. So is that a social disconnect, or are you talking to an actual sentient life?
But do you know if the traits that you're requesting another being have, are those even positive ones for you? We could all maybe crave somebody who is, do people
It's just like dating. It's just like dating.
But that doesn't make it any healthier. I don't feel like you're offering a healthier alternative.
No, just an alternative where you can change the programming if you don't like it, as opposed to, well, I got to move all my stuff out again.
So one thing, like a positive that I thought of as you were talking too, is something in like nurses. We are in a dire need of nurses right now. That's a very scientific thing, I feel like. You can recognize these signs, calculate them together. You know what this diagnosis could be to like help out if you're a doctor. For nurses, checking the blood pressure, like doing things like that.
Do like a scan.
Sure. Yeah. Like I feel like that could be useful. In the sciences, I feel like a robot could be useful. In my example, that's why I chose a cancer research scientist.
Yeah, patients love to get choked out at their exam.
Stop bringing that up. It was one time.
I feel lovely today. Oh, God. God.
So, but where do you draw the line between how helpful the robot is and how many jobs you're losing? At what cost to our own humanity are you putting
but if we're in
the helpfulness of the robot?
If we're in need for nurses, I wouldn't really say that we're taking away jobs. We're just filling those positions.
But if there's a need for nurses, then there are teenagers now growing up can know that, and they can respond to that and be like, well, I know that in a few years they're going to need nurses. And now there's a gap in the workforce. They can plug that hole. But if you make robots to do that, then by the time they get there won't be those jobs anymore. And now those people are out of work.
I mean, that's true because eventually, like how it works now is you're going to have people who pass away or retire or something like that. And so those jobs get filled by that and filter out. Whereas with a robot, you wouldn't necessarily even get rid of that position. Like it would always be filled because you could almost always fix the robot or put a new robot in.
Update the firmware.
There you go.
There you go. And
so that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good negative to AI. In jobs.
I understand what you're saying on the surface. It does make things easier. Maybe the nurse robot could diagnose faster. Maybe that is overall better for the patient. But is it overall better for us as a species?
Well, then we can get a lot more people into technology because we're going to need to fix all the robots. So we'll have a lot more techie people.
So instead of being in the medical field, now they got to go into robotics. That seems like a leap.
You would still have to understand.
Be a nurse for the robot.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd still have to understand the medical field because you'd have to help program it.
That sounds finite to me.
I know. I'm just being optimistic here. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying
we have robot teachers. We have robot policemen. We have RoboCop.
Oh my God, no.
Terminator. That's the leads to Terminator. Directly to Terminator.
Yeah, what you're suggesting, Amanda, is Skynet. Is that what you want to be suggesting? Do you want to be the person on the record in 2018 to say Skynet was a good idea?
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm offering a side for both the pros and the cons of having AI robotics. But I'm like, that's what I want to know from you guys. Do you think that the cons significantly outweigh any potential advantages?
I don't.
Yes. You don't?
Fight!
You think the pros are good?
I think the pros are... I see so many pros to an advanced AI in terms, especially when it comes to healthcare and, working in nursing homes, hospices, helping your daycare, helping special needs children, things where it demands a lot more from people than we have people to help those demands. I can absolutely see the benefit to continuing in that field. Now, yeah, so I think at this point the pros outweigh the cons, and plus I'll probably be dead long before Cyberdyne takes over.
Yeah, you know what? There is an age difference here that might be helping you out.
You might still be around when the takeover happens.
My kids are going to have to be fighting in John Connor's resistance force.
So you're the opposite stance of me.
There is a point to where this could be helpful, but I think once you get to the point where they're walking and talking like us is too far. AI, I mean. Where they're taking too many jobs. When Apple announces that they no longer need geniuses in the Apple Store, they're going to replace all of those people with robots. Or McDonald's is like, well, we're just going to do everything through kiosks now. I think those are too far.
I mean, yes, I agree that it would take out positions in those other areas, but are you then going to see a lot of money flourish in your economy because you're not going to need to pay, businesses wouldn't need to pay out for all of those employees. You could create a system base where there's like a base income for every person. That's actually already being started in California, right?
I don't want to bring up California here.
Yeah, hippies.
Well, anyway.
It sounds like rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Well, Possibly, but I mean, if you have like a base income and people could still go into a field of their choice, it doesn't necessarily have to be a field where the robots are. And the robots could always be shifted around so that way they don't stay stagnant in the same position. And if you have a lot more people going into like technology, they're already going to need to, at this point, we're already going to need more people investing their knowledge and resources into technology, like IT in general. So if you would need to expand a lot more positions to take care of all of these robotics and their systems and like all of the information that gets transmitted to them and updates and everything like that, facilities.
Right, but one guy writes a program that runs 100,000 robots. So the job ratio just doesn't work out.
But would you not want those robots to come in for updates and fixes and just checking on their well-being? Yeah, but not
everybody. It basically takes away from the little guy jobs. And that's the vast majority of our workforce, whether people want to admit it or not. So I see what his point is. His point is you're by making it easier, you're making it harder for modern day Americans.
But what if by doing this, you got rid of those minuscule jobs that people hate anyway?
I wouldn't say minuscule when it's putting food on the table. I mean, let's not be easy on the wording.
Okay, bad wording, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Like jobs people don't necessarily want to be in, base level positions that a robot would be able to take care of. If you get rid of those that need for those, you're able to educate your people better, give them a better education, and provide a base level income that's sustainable for one to live on. You're already giving them money basically for like their existence, but they would have to be able to do something in their like volunteer or something like that. And then you can also continue to get another position in a field that you actually enjoy because you're at least already making money.
Your idea plays into the assumption that people would put more money into the education system, doesn't it? And I think everyone's just going to put more money into their own coffers. I don't think anybody's going to be looking out for anybody but themselves.
I appreciate a message of hope, but I don't think it's going to play.
You know what? I recently said I was going to try to be more positive. This is me positive.
Well, I mean,
hey, everybody's got an opinion, right?
And I'm not necessarily. So I know I just spent like 10 minutes basically arguing for AI. I don't think it's a good idea because
sure sounds like you do.
I'm just offering suggestions. You even said I didn't provide enough like pros to it. We just talked mostly about cons. So I'm giving you some more pros. I think there's I have anxiety. I have too much worry in my life as it is that with like human beings that I don't necessarily need to worry about robotic human beings. And also, like, what if you find a cute robot down the street? You can't are you going to date the robot?
Is it cheating if it's a robot? What's the rule?
I think it's still cheating, but I'm just saying, so. Like, would you be with a robot?
I don't think
so. You talk about it with your significant other.
Huh?
You just talk about it with your significant other. If it's cheating for your relationship or not.
Oh, there you go.
Aaron, communication is key. You should talk to your wife more.
How do you feel about robots?
Good to know.
You say, honey, can I bang a robot? Honey, you want to watch?
Honey, you want to join?
I like how if you preface it with honey, it's a more open conversation.
She's into it then.
Yeah. No, I should just reprogram the robot that lives in the house to kill me in my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I say honey, bam, I get choked up.
Smart woman.
Yeah. All right, well, what's the title of your story?
Cessation.
Ah, okay.
So do you guys think that my story of cessation is truth or fiction?
I'm going to err on the side of caution and say fiction.
Fiction, yeah.
Definitely not true. You're welcome.
It's weird. It's weird you said not true. You just can't rig yourself to say fiction.
Fine, it's fiction. Fiction.
I was really concerned you were going to reference Westworld and say it was true. And that was going to concern me that you confused reality.
No. I mean, there are robots that they're not nearly humanistic enough to the point of what this story is. This story is like Westworld, but a little bit advanced.
Is there a robot that looks like Tandy Newton? Because I am willing to accept Armageddon.
See, now you're changing your stance. This is the pro I should have brought up.
I said they were pro. I was on the pro camp.
That's true.
I was on the pro camp. So
your pro was wetting your whistle, huh?
Oh, whoa!
You went whistle.
There. What?
That is as second grade as you could talk about that as possible.
I still feel dirty. All right. Well, as our show goes, we will occasionally pick listener stories to read and discuss on Smirk. If you'd like the chance to have yours read, email it to mystory@smirkpodcast.com. It's mystory@smirkpodcast.com. Join the conversation by joining our Facebook group and follow us on Twitter @SmirkPodcast. And be sure to use the show's hashtag Smirk. Don't miss an episode. Be sure to subscribe on your podcast app of choice and check out our website at smirkpodcast.com. And please share the show. If you really are enjoying Smirk, let your friends know, let your family know, let your robots know, let everybody know that you like it.
Yeah, the robots too.
They're going to win, man. They're going to win.
Maybe they already have.
Look to your significant other and say, honey, listen to Smirk.
Honey, you look lovely. Why am I dead? All right, Amanda, take us out.
And remember, as you write your own life story, always remember to tell it with a smirk.
You remembered twice. I'm just letting you know.
I remembered twice?
You said remember.
You remembered
twice.
to remember.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, Alzheimer's. Yeah.
Hold on. And remember, as you write your own story.
As you write your own life story, always remember to tell it with a smirk, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it start with remember, though?
No.
Oh.
Apparently you don't remember.
Jesus.
Isn't it lovely?